Welcome to the Redvee TV show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. And it's like deja vu, Kevin. It is them again this week.
At least our other sporting teams have given us something to smile about, as Everton will not have the best ground in the Championship, and we won't be in it either. So at least we've got a smile on our faces, David, from the
Yes,
round ball, not the oval.
yes. Best stadium in the Championship for the 10 millionth time. Well, it won't be us. It may well be the best stadium in the Premier League. That said, Kevin, third time in 6 weeks. I'll tell you who don't do a very good job. Super League's fixture planners.
Well, one of them's cup. So, but I do get the point that we've not even played Lee yet. And we've played Warrington home and away, and it just feels like it's very lopsided, doesn't it? Where you've got teams that you've not played yet. Hull is Hull another, and
Yeah,
it's just I'd love. And this is me like having the most perfect season would be the you play Hull at home, you play Castleford away, you play Warrington at home, and then you play your 13 rounds. If you're going to have Magic, you lash that in, okay, whatever. Or you have a mid-season for the internationals. And then guess what? You play Hull away, and you play Cass at home, and you play Warrington away, not necessarily in that order, but in the second half of the season. I suppose I'm just looking for halcyon days of just doing it something like that.
well, it's round nine this week, and we'll have played Warrington home and away, and won't play them again this year unless we beat in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Bizarre,
yeah, yeah.
bizarre. Anyway, right. So we have a let's have a look where we're up to type chat
Yeah, we can.
because let's be honest, there's not a lot happening in rugby league world.
Not for us anyway.
Our season's over.
Let's not go that far, but it's probably not as good as the vast majority would expect it to be. I don't want to say like it to be. Everybody wants it to be better, but I think even though there's only a couple of points difference between where are we? Like, well, 12 points for second and then 10 points for sixth. Um, it's just that position of fifth. We go back to when we finished third on points difference. There's your there's your kind of barometer of everybody was unhappy because it meant that we had to go away in the playoffs. This is the similar situation for me.
This table shamelessly stolen from the Sky Sports Rugby League website, and I'm delighted to know that there's going to be bonus points awarded somehow
Excellent.
with this column here. I'm not entirely sure what you have to do to get them, but if you hover over the B on the website, that is the bonus points column. So there is
Oh,
hope for us yet.
okay, fair enough. Well, I don't know how we're going to get him.
Most
No, I.
knock-ons, 5 points added on,
Yeah.
top of the league. It almost feels like this could turn into like a couple of different like divisions within the table. Hull KR and Wigan at the top, then third down to ninth competing against each other for best of the rest, and then Cass, Salford, and Huddersfield in their own little mini league.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much so. I do think Lee Leopards are possibly going under the radar. Hull are almost that unknown quantity of being terrible for quite a few seasons and doing all right. Can they maintain it? Hopefully, for the sake of Super League, I hope they can. And they're still battling, even though I hope we beat them when we play them and we finish above them. You want these teams still competing and making the games good. 100% what you want. But you're right. I think there's a big chasm probably over a season between the top two, and then, as you say, third to ninth. with Wakefield being a good inclusion in that as well. I think they've gone really well and need to be applauded for the season they've had so far.
That said, despite that, after 8 rounds, we're 2 points off second. And listen, I'm not anyway bigging us up to be any better than they are. But is it a case of, although we're not great and quite, well, we're crap, if we're perfectly honest at times, so's the rest of the league. We're not as good as our own standards have been, but are we a million miles away from those above us?
At times it feels like it. I think at times it feels like it because we'll put in a good, in fact, let's say a good half against Wakefield. But against other teams, it feels like we're switched on for the first 10, 15 minutes, or we look like we were chasing the game, obviously, on Friday. And it's not enough. You can't just put in a performance for that long and expect to be getting good results all the time. We've got to start meeting the teams who are around us. So when you talk about the what is it, not from 14 now, is it?
15.
You've got the 15, it could be now. You've got to start beating them teams because it's all very well. No offense to Wakefield doing well at eighth, but beating Wakefield, beating Cass, beating Salford, you're expecting them. And I know that there can be some kind of arrogance to expect a result against them. You've still got to go out and earn them, which I'm quite happy for us to go and do. But you've got to be looking at Hull KR, looking at Wigan, looking at Lee, the teams who are above you, and making sure that when you face them, you give the best possible account of yourself and giving them a game. We arguably did that a little bit more against Hull KR, but I don't think they had to get out of second gear. I think Wigan were the deserved winners on Good Friday, even though I'm sure people could tell drink had been taken when we were doing our post-match stuff. We need to be better for considerably longer in a game, and that I always say it, and I hope people don't have a shock whenever I mention discipline, because if they do, they'd be as drunk as I was by the end of play on Good Friday. That our discipline is our own worst enemy, and people can say, "Well, we're not creating anything." We might not be, but we're putting ourselves under the pump as well. So if you're not creating and putting yourself in strife, it's that double-edged sword that you just think, how do you get out of this? And that is down to the players. I know what you mean about the whole thing of. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. Somebody's just texted me. It's off. Like, yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry, I just go on. I've been put off there.
I think you were going to say on paper we're not miles off, but on the full rugby field we probably are.
On rugby field, we probably are. Yeah, that's about it. That our experienced pros need to be better. And I know we mentioned about Wellows not dropping the ball and Wellows not doing this and that. That is very true. Now, whether people think Wellows the problem or not the solution, that's fair enough. Fair enough opinion to have. But I think he's until the end of the year, regardless. And I think that if we're allowing kind of us to just put judgment on what the coaches are doing and not actually looking at what the players are doing, then we're missing a massive point. I think the players are good enough to get wins. The players would have been good enough to get a win against Wigan on Friday. I think we would have, but there were just too many errors. And Wigan capitalised on them straight away. And that's the sign of a good team. That's how Wigan were miles better than us.
But the problem is, Kevin, we've been saying now for 12 months those players would be good enough if they're not making errors.
Yeah, and longer, and longer. We've
But if
probably
my
been
auntie
saying
had
it.
balls, she'd be my uncle. Is that the saying?
Yeah, my auntie had wheels. If my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. That one.
Now, when we enter obviously a tipping competition at the start of the year, where you and part of that is you have to predict your league table. At the start of the year, I said Wigan top, Hull KR second, Saints third, Warrington fourth, Leeds fifth, Catalan sixth, Leeds seventh. I'm not changing that at this moment in time because if you look at the three games we've lost, it's the two teams I expected to finish above us, and the only one where I think we should be winning on paper, grass, wherever you play it, is against Warrington. And I hope we can correct that this week.
Yeah, same. I'm just trying to dig out my predictions for this season, see if I can find them. Doo-doo-doo. So I've done Wigan top, Hull KR second. I've actually done Warrington third, then us fourth, Leeds, and then we won't mention that I put Salford in seventh. But
So in that case, Kevin, like on your league table, we've only lost to the teams you expected to finish above us.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's the manner in
Yes.
which you're losing to them as well. So as we said, it's we were expecting to get beaten on Friday. Fine, we're not going to necessarily whinge about that. We can moan about the manner in which we do it, the manner in which you cough up ball, the manner in which everything is almost going through a teenager at scrum half, and he's carrying your team round, and your forwards who aren't making mistakes are few and far between. And you hate bagging them because the effort's there, and we always say that the lowest prerequisite is effort. And I wouldn't bag anyone for not turning in a performance. This isn't last year. This isn't our number three of last year. This is a we are trying, but I think you said on Friday. Is it just the case that as a unit we're just not good enough?
We're not, and that's exactly what I was going to say next. Because somebody's going to come into our comments, I absolutely guarantee it, and say, "Oh, the lads are making excuses again. They're accepting where we are." I'm not accepting mediocrity because any Saints fan what should I would want to be challenging for the title, but equally, I almost think there's got to be that little bit of realism about where we're at as a squad at the moment, and I personally think this squad's best days are now behind us, and it's going to take better recruitment, much better recruitment to turn this around, and it's going to take a year or two. My concern at this moment in time is if we don't get the recruitment right, we end up doing a Leeds for the next 5 years, and you got and your platform goes so far one way that it's really hard to get back because you're constantly trying to fill holes, and that is why recruitment is so important. In terms of Wello, do I believe the way the squad is at the moment and the performance we're doing it is are his fault? No, I don't. That's my personal opinion. I know there's plenty of fans who think it is. Do I think he Wello is the solution? I don't know. I think it's a I think it's a combination of the whole squad not being good enough, the coaching. Who knows? Because at the end of the day, if Wello would have been in charge of the squad 3 or 4 years ago, would we have still won championships? There's the question.
Yeah, even longer ago now, probably. I think that squad was the squad that was around years ago, where you have younger players, younger, fitter players. Um, then I think most professional head coaches would have got uh, championship wins out of them. I think you're right when it comes to recruitment because we bang on about recruitment and retention, and you've got lads who you're giving 1 and 2 year deals to who aren't getting anywhere near. They're just a name in the 21. And I know you mentioned about do they do it so we've got good people training against us? Fantastic, but you're not you're not doing anything in training that earns you that big money. It's on the park, so you could have trained against Penrith Panthers. If you then turn out and end up more like the Pink Panther, it doesn't matter, does it? You can have the best to train against. And you talk about recruitment. I'm not one of these who's willing to throw away like Tristan Saylor just yet. Uh, you see a lot of knee jerk stuff, and listen, it's fine. People have the right to their opinion. I'm not going to throw his Saints career away just yet, but I think we need to allow him time to kind of find his feet. I mentioned the Bevan French comparison, not comparing him as a player. Again, I think I said that on Friday, not comparing him as a player,
You're comparing it
but
to
just
Bevan
as a
French, Kevin.
no, not
Are
comparing
you
him
sure,
to Bevan
Kevin?
French.
Are you sure you're not comparing him to Bevan French?
I bet there was somebody in the comments who said that. Um, just in the situation that Wigan found him in, where didn't they kept on moving him around the park. So he'd play fullback, he'd play wing, and then they found him a home at six.
Right,
Now,
save that for my next slide.
okay, well, I was going to go on to it and say, is he the right person that we have recruited? When you think about it, is he the right person that we needed to recruit? People bang on about Mark Sneyd. Mark Sneyd and Johnny Lomax together in the halves. I wouldn't like to know what our mentions on social media would be like if we had two mid-30s fellas playing halfback for us.
I,
But
you could argue,
did
Kev,
we
we
need?
needed to bring a big, horrible prop in, but we haven't because of what we've retained. Maybe it's not recruitment that's been the issue as much. It's been what
Yeah,
we've chose to retain.
and I think that churn we've got to get better at because I think again it goes down to salary cap, and I think that when players are going in for salary cap talks, for contract talks, sorry, and we're working within a salary cap, you see players leaving. So we've seen it in the past, and you see someone go, and people go, "I'd have kept them." So Theo Farge will start with. He went. Now, would we have kept Theo at the time? Yeah, I think we would. But when he's offered an absolutely huge deal at Huddersfield that we're not going to match because we then can't fit him under the salary cap, you're going to let him go. And you've got to have that natural turnover. But I think lads can go in and say, I've won you 3 Super Leagues, 4 Super Leagues, a Challenge Cup, a World Club Challenge. I want the money that I'm owed. And you've then got to make the balance of, did we have the choice between Morgan Knowles or Matty Lees? Because Matty Lees is going to have got a really good deal this time. He's an England prop, good age, usually usually fit, usually in and around. He's had that massive injury a couple of years ago, but he's usually in and around the squad. Starter for you, has captained the club, won everything. If he comes to you, you're not giving him 60 grand a year and going, yeah, you'll do with that, won't you, Matty? You're
I
going
think
to
there's
take a good lump in salary cap.
I think there's an argument to say if Morgan Knowles was retained and kept on, we'd have struggled to keep Matty Lees under the salary cap, and you might have seen him move to the likes of Warrington, who were rumoured to be in for him.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's like
And I think that's,
people go on.
I was going to say, and I think that's the thing that I kind of struggle with the understanding of because I don't know the inside scoop of it. So I think if I don't understand it and don't know the inside scoop, then there's going to be a whole load of other people exactly like me who don't get it and think you can. Oh well, let's go out and we'll pay player X off and we'll bring someone in. It just doesn't work like that.
I
Like
think
when you sit,
another good one this week with Kev was people. We were talking in one of the groups, and we were talking about Tom Johnston or Tom
yeah,
Johnstone, whatever you want to call him. Oh, we should have signed him. And then when we were talking and people realised how much he was actually on at Wakefield and the length of his deal, people were quite open-mouthed and like, do you want to spend that much money on a winger
mm-hmm,
at the detriment of other positions in your squad? It's a jigsaw, and at this moment in time, we're not getting the jigsaw right. I think that's a really fair comment to say. And I feel everyone is that focused on it's Wello's fault, it's Wello's fault, it's Wello's fault. It's shielding our poor recruitment over the last few years. And listen, this isn't bagging Mike Rush necessarily because the recruitment of the previous cycle got it right and won us 4 in a row and a world championship. If you consistently got it right year in year out, it'd be like, well, I don't know, trying to think, a league where Bayern Munich, it'd be
well,
Bayern Munich winning the league every year.
yeah,
Boring.
it'd be the Midas touch, wouldn't it?
I
and
say that after Leverkusen won it last season, like, but you know what I mean.
yeah, Celtic then or TNS in Wales or whoever. Yeah, I know what you mean though. And it's tough because it's all very well going. Yeah, we're Saints. We want to go over and sign player X from the NRL. They'll go. Well, I want this amount of money. Oh, we can't fit you under the salary cap because we've already got this number of players. We're actually shopping in the who's available after Christmas market as we were last year for the number three. We're shopping in that bargain bin, almost of it. Good wage, but not going to get you someone who you think, oh my god, they are an absolute outstanding signing.
And the thing is, it's not like football where you can just somebody's not good enough, get rid, replace them there and then. So like we've put our eggs in the basket now, essentially for the next 4 years in Noah Stevens, Owen Dagnall, Harry Robertson, George Whitby all
Yeah,
developing. If they don't develop and we get recruitment wrong for the next 4 years, that's a big or decent chunk of your salary cap gone. If you get it
yeah,
right, then all of a sudden you're building a team around them.
yeah,
And I think that the only time to say whether you've got things right or wrong in your recruitment is when you see the results and
yeah.
where you're finishing in the table.
Well, I bet if I'd have looked at more social media when we brought in, and I am trawling back a little bit here, but when we brought Zeb Tyree for Joe Greenwood, when he first came over, it didn't look much. We knew what he could do for Catalan, but he'd gone back over to Australia, came in, and I don't think there was, or it didn't feel like we thought, oh yeah, we've signed someone who's doing great things here. And then he grows into the team, and that's you hope that players can do it. You hope that players like Tristan Saylor's gonna come in and do it. You hope that Lewis Murphy coming back over once he gets a run of games under his belt, and he looks sharp. Good try on Friday, but you just hope they can do it. Kyle Felt when he gets a go. But you're right.
Whisper it quietly. When we signed Lachlan Coote, the Redvee forum users absolutely hated the sign and he was finished and we should never have signed him. When Johnny Lomax signed his new deal last year, you look at the club Facebook, everywhere it was publicised. It was congratulations, brilliant, captain for the next few years. Um, everybody, listen. I think there was a social media campaign to sign Wonga Blake.
Yeah.
There was a social media campaign for about 12 months to sign T Ritson.
Yep.
Um, now, are there some things where you can say we're talking about? Oh, listen, hindsight's wonderful, and I'll go back to and we've spoke about it a couple of times now. Offering contract renewals to Ben Davis, T Ritson, um, Conrad Harrell. We're wrong then. They're wrong now, and when the contract's up, we'll say they were wrong all the way through. Because if you're never going to play them, why bother?
Yeah. And the argument could be we needed a squad. We needed to fill the squad because I feel like there's people who say Warrington bringing John Bateman in last year, or you get the cross season signings where people come in. I guarantee if we had a terrible start to the season, which people will argue that we've not had a great start this one, despite uh, don't look at the table, look at how performances are perceived. And if we weren't spending full salary cap, people would be like, well, why have we not signed him? Why have we not signed them? Why have we not gone over to Australia? Why have we not done this? Why? There'd be no winning. There'd be no winning for it. You either give yourself the best opportunity from the start of the season and spend the cap, or you do give yourself that little bit of wiggle room, but you then run the risk of people kind of reimagining what they kind of say in the past and going, but why have we not spent that 100 grand,
The penny
150
pinching,
grand yet?
penny pinching saints. Listen, we're spending,
Skip,
we're
skip.
sending, we're spending full salary cap, and people are thinking we're penny pinching. We're not. We're just not spending it wisely.
Yeah, would not. That's the thing. We've got marquee players. We're spending cap, but it's just at the moment that squad as a whole isn't quite good enough. I don't think it is good enough to be challenging um, for the Super League title.
Right then, 4 into 3 won't go. Now, you don't want to write Tristan Taylor off yet, which absolutely right not to. But equally, it can't be missed that there's a little bit of a whiff about his performances at the moment. The question is, after 2 games at fullback, do you carry on with him? Or do you restore Johnny Lomax to the team? And that means that one of Saylor or Whitby potentially either drops out the team or Tristan Taylor moves to the wing.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad option to move him out to the wing. And I say that and say, as much as John Bennison is another whipping boy for a section of our fan base, I think John Bennison has done as good a job as you can expect out on the wing. But would it give him a little bit more game time without exposing him to have to make these decisions at halfback, which he doesn't seem used to? Take him out the firing line of playing fullback as well, which again is another key position. I don't think it's a bad idea. As it is, if you ask me about my team for Thursday, I think he starts fullback. I don't see him changing those 3 positions from Friday.
Does Johnny Lomax come back in at all?
Um, if I'm honest, I picked a team earlier and he didn't.
Okay. I
I think I think it was another week out.
Is that because it's such on a short turnaround week, maybe? I know it's Thursday and we play Friday, but with it being the bank holiday weekend, I don't know what we'll have done training wise. Do the players get time off? Do they come in? Ah,
Well, I watched it. I watched the presser, and Wello said it was a bit of a lighter thing. They worked on some stuff that they weren't good at, and he referenced the mistakes that had been made during the game, the knock-ons, the coughed up ball, the poor decisions. It was like, and poor decisions. I mean, poor decisions from our players. Um, I just think that it probably will be too much of a short term round. I think he'll go possibly with a bigger body on the bench and possibly play kind of a third prop sometimes as the 13. But yeah, I don't see it changing. I don't see it changing this week. Whether it changes for Magic, another matter. Because
I
I don't think he'll leave Lomax out for too long. I think he'll want to get him back in the team because he'll want Johnny Lomax to prove him wrong in the best possible way.
Yeah, and for me that is why after Johnny's missed 2 weeks now, I would have him back in this week, and I don't think George Whitby is droppable. I think he's the future. I think unless you need to take George Whitby out the final line for George Whitby's benefit,
Mm-hmm.
you leave him in the team and let him grow. And I do you know what? I'd like to potentially see him alongside Johnny, just to have a look at it. I'm not convinced by Tristan Saylor at fullback. That position of that first try on Friday when he joined the line, I don't know what he was doing. Um, Jack Wellsby will want to get back to playing fullback. You'd imagine that's obviously where he sees himself and wants to play. Um, the answer is I don't know.
I think there's a couple of things though. Like if you play Johnny alongside George Whitby, Johnny's got to be the less dominant half. He's got to let George do it. George has got to be your organizer at 7. Um, and then when George needs him, that's when he steps up. Johnny knows that, obviously. With Jack Wellsby, great. If Jack Wellsby wants to play fullback, great. But we need to see him almost less times doing that scoot across the line as a fullback, looking for a runner. He should be the one chiming in from the back, rather than almost doing a sixes job of trying to find a someone. And most of the time, our players are just stood there not knowing what they're meant to be doing at that point anyway, or not knowing what Jack's going to do at that point.
Can we just not do a Lachlan Coote highlights video of him coming around the back with the cutout ball that everyone knew what was going to happen, but was impossible to stop?
Stop it, yeah. Yeah. You can see it happening, but stop it, yeah. Like the rain.
Brilliant. So we've discussed it and we don't know.
Well, I've said, as I say, my team go into the squad. Joe Batchelor drops out. Owen Dagnall comes back in. Mine is Johnny doesn't get back in. The team that I'd picked for this week, probably just because of that short term round.
Okay, who misses out? Ben Davis,
So
obviously.
yeah, Ben Davis, Jake Burns, Owen Dagnall. Who else did I have in my team? Johnny Lomax, yeah.
Noah Stevens in your 17.
Noah Stevens in my 17. As I say, because we're short on second rows, my team was Sailor, Benison, Sambu, Percival, Murphy, um, Wellesby, Whitby, Big Al, whoever's fit. I'd rather see Darrell Clark start at 9. Matty Lees, Curtis Siren, and Matt Whitley, Morgan Knowles, with Parsi, Delaney, the other one of Clark Orton by on the bench, and Noah Stevens. Because we're short on second rows, I can almost see the Morgan Knowles goes off if he does, and you bring Parsi on into that role like we've done in the past. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of a third prop playing at 13, but needs must. When you've not got the second rows, you've got to get a tune out of us somehow, and that's the way that I see it.
See, this is why I'd probably have Sailor on the wing this week. I just think Warrington will just try and hit you on the outside with pace. Um, I'm not convinced by a side of Sambu and Benison.
Are you
Sambu,
convinced by side of Sambu and Sailor?
but at least there's a bit of pace there.
Possibly,
I,
yeah.
I, I'd consider putting Benison inside him
Right, okay. Well, I
rather than having
suppose that's how
Sambu
you,
there.
yeah. Well, you could defend like that. Like we've seen it where players defend, like attacking the line and defend at one. I think we've seen Jack Wellesby do that and Tristan Sailor switch this season. Um, yeah, I could see that happening. I'm not sure whether they'll just throw it away after 3. I think they want to after 2 games of Sailor at fullback. I think it's an option, and I think it's a good option to take him out the firing line, and you can probably reference the Bevan French stuff of well, this is how people find their feet. Can see how we want to play. Bang, you come into it and you do it.
The issue for me at the moment is I think you could pick any 17 and not get a different performance. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I think one thing like this game, I feel is against Wire this week is ultimately winnable. Is it winnable by us though? I've not seen a full performance for me to think I am absolutely positive that we're going to win this. Absolutely no way you could ever think that at the moment.
And the Warrington fans are saying exactly the same. It's the two tramps fighting in a ditch derby.
Yes. Oh no. Well, no. We've got to give them credit when Warrington beats us. I mean, we didn't do that when we said that the game at our place, the scrambling defence and wanting it more. That wasn't enough credit, obviously, for them. And the fact that the cup game was two tramps fighting in a ditch over a cold bag of chips. Um, I said at the time, I actually said at the time that true Warrington fans, proper Warrington fans, would see that that wasn't a good game of rugby. Um, but if people want their egos massaging about Warrington, this ain't the place. Go and listen to the Brian Bevan podcast. Go and listen to whatever podcasts you can get of Warrington. This ain't the place. This we're going to talk about Saints an awful lot. So thanks, Mister MJ GB6TR on YouTube.
So is that his name or have you just made that up?
No, I've got it here.
All right.
I want to, I want to get it right because it made me laugh on Friday when we saw it. Classless as ever in the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, listen, you've got
When
chance.
we saw it,
First time in your history you got chance to do the treble, is it?
we when we absolutely went in on our own team instead.
Yeah, apparently we blame the ref for our defeat on Friday,
Yeah,
despite us saying we were not good enough across the board. And I think I used the word, there's some of our team who should be ashamed of their performances. But that was blaming the
yes,
ref apparently. Okay.
maybe
Sometimes I
maybe
read the
me.
comments and think, I'm gonna have to watch this again to see if I actually said what you think I said. Anyway,
I've, I've,
Warrington,
I've
George Williams is missing, and the rest of the squad is in alphabetical order, so we're not bothering to discuss it.
Okay, Ben
Well,
Harrison comes in for Ollie Leyland. Yes, got it in there.
listen, those are the rules on Redvee. If you don't put your squad in the right order, we're not discussing it.
Okay.
Ah, well. I don't think the away following is going to be that strong on Friday. Thursday, no, definitely not on Friday.
Not on
Thur-
Friday, there'll be no one there.
Thursday, a couple of thousand. I think 2,000 will be going over. But we've had Warrington Cup, Wigan away, Magic, Catalan away, Ashes tickets. Um, this is another reason why we're a lopsided fixture list. It's a right at the end of the month. It's taxing on the wallet. It'll probably still be far more than anybody ever brings to us, but there we have it.
Yeah, I just want to point something out. The ref's been named. No problem with Liam Moore being in charge of our game. Absolutely none at all. The reserve referee is one T. Jones. And apparently there's only one T. Jones on the referees list, according to the group we're in here. And that is Tara.
Right. So somebody needs to kidnap Mr. Moore,
Can you not just slit your hair, pretend you're Ben Thaler, and go and get him?
hook him. So Tara's reserve ref.
I'm just looking through, and
Does that mean
there's only.
does that mean when somebody goes in the Warrington sin bin, Tara gets the stopwatch out that counts twice as slow?
I hope so. Yeah, right. The full-time refs: Tom Grant, Marcus Griffiths, Chris Kendall, Aaron Moore, Liam Rush, Jack Smith, James Vella, Tara Jones. They're the full-time match officials.
Surely you would think so close to her playing career ended that it might not be the wisest decision for everyone's benefit to not have her so close to an ex team.
You think so, wouldn't you? But I think on the other hand, fair play to her. Good, absolutely
Oh,
wonderful
yeah, absolutely.
that she's moving
It's
to the
fantastic.
backside.
And it's purely for the fact that if Tara was called into action and she needed to take charge, she couldn't do right for doing wrong.
Yeah, I think yeah. You don't want a fledgling career to have any scrutiny that it doesn't need at this point. But
But
yeah,
but if you do get your chance, just remember, was it Hicks at Wembley disallowing
yeah.
that try?
I don't want one owed back for that. I want it owed back in a final. I don't want it
Ah,
owed on a Thursday night in a game that doesn't really matter.
20-0 up to Saints.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right, you can clip this if it does happen. We will not be 20-0 up at any point in this game on Thursday.
No, I will put it on record, just as I did in the cup game. For Saints to have any chance of winning, we have to get 18 points on the board.
Yeah,
And that is a
yeah,
50-50 chance.
yeah, yeah. And then don't kick to the quick lads on the wing or at fullback so they can easily field the ball and run it back against your central winger with no cover.
And let's not drop the ball
Yeah,
or
please.
get nilled. Right. Oof, I'm depressed already.
I
Right.
know this has been a cheerful one, David.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you Thursday night.